Hi, how are you guys? My name is Haken, and I work currently with Uniphar. So I should probably introduce Uniphar a little bit. I'm told it's pretty much the biggest pharma distributor in Ireland, but it has a global presence. And it started in 1967, grew, and now it's in 160 plus countries and 200 plus partners. And all of it is about getting, the critical drugs and supplies to people in need in hospitals and places like that. Obviously, this is now all IT driven, and when you grow sort of two ways: organically and acquisitions. And acquisitions can be obviously somewhat of a challenge because you inherit the infrastructure and a culture and a tech stack from the company, and just maybe completely different from what you've been using so far. And traditionally things would have been on-prem and etc. So Uniphar realized, and our CTO actually put it in no uncertain terms, if we ever had some high-level security incident and our infrastructure was compromised and our warehouses stopped shipping things, people might actually die. So that's the kind of criticality here. And so the whole new initiative was launched to do a major overhaul and modernize infrastructure. And obviously security is absolutely the first concern. Things are now moving into cloud, so you have much less of concerns yourself. You have your partner, your cloud provider that deals with all these little nitty-gritty things on your behalf and kind of enforces certain operational standards. And now we're also getting a lot of AI interest, and overall we're just trying to come up with new products, new initiatives, so that Uniphar can continue to grow and serve its business partners and clients just that much better. And that's this slide. So if you can move to the next slide, please. And my name is Haken, as I mentioned, and I kind of work now on the platform and DevOps and apps team. And we really, when we started this whole initiative and the team, we did our homework and we looked at many frameworks. And eventually we chose Dapr. And we did it. Obviously, the Microsoft kind of background helped. We liked what we saw. We liked the features and the alignment just simply there with the Diagrid or Dapr mindset. And I actually would like to thank Diagrid to have this opportunity to speak here, because two ways: we're proud of what we do, so we obviously like to share that, but also it just made our life that much easier, and we see that kind of dedication, and so it makes our life easier. So thank you guys. And when I was asked, would you be willing to present, I had no hesitation. And so when we chose Dapr, then we started to use it, and I was kind of leading that and came up with some initial applications, and have since been evangelizing the use of Dapr, and the number of applications very much increased. And we use all the Dapr features, mostly kind of actors and workflows. And there's my email in case you ever want to kind of ask questions or follow up. So please don't hesitate. Next slide, please. Yeah. So I kind of picked two kind of applications that represent a good sample of what we do. The first one, codename Mammon, it's a cost management solution. So just to give you a brief idea here, we're Azure house. As you develop new applications, new streams, new initiatives, you provision a number of resources, and obviously there's cost. And so at some stage, you want accounting people to understand where that cost can be attributed to. They don't understand technology. They don't understand cloud. We do, but we're not accountants. So we meet in the middle. We give a report which uses this sort of accounting concepts of cost centers, but we crunch all the numbers, scan all in Azure landscape, crunch the numbers, give them the report, and they can take it and then do their budgeting work. So in terms of technology here, when I started to look into it, I realized, well, your Azure landscape, that's complex. And the number of resources may be very high, and the type of resources is huge. And the solutions that were available to us through Azure did not meet really our standards. We wanted to do a little bit more. We wanted to look not at just resource or subscription or resource group level. We wanted to also split the cost of certain resources because they're shared. A good example might be Cosmos or AKS. We have custom logic to be able to look at the Cosmos, look at the usage, or look at the parts in a cluster, look at the metrics, which ones are heavier, which are lighter, and we have the logic then to split the cost of the cluster or the Cosmos or some other resource types, be that VDI, to these cost centers based on usage, based on number of session, number of DTUs. So there's that custom logic. And I wanted to write a code that's easy to maintain, easy to support with real good observability. So it occurred to me that as I'm looking at these resources and all these levels within Azure, they actually fit workflows. So the process that's been implemented now is a hierarchy of workflows. We have a tenant workflow, which starts subscription workflows, which can start resource group workflows and these specialized workflows for these special resources with their special logic. And so it ultimately fans out and eventually fans in. And at the end of when all these workflows are orchestrated and completed, and we get that from Dapr. At the end of our tenant, the top level workflow, we simply send a report. So this just made the code that much easier, lighter, because most of the code now, if you look at the repo, and by the way, it's open source, most of the code is really about the business logic. There's virtually very little code that deals with these kind of nitty-gritty orchestration concerns. And by the way, we gave kind of more detailed talk on this in KubeCon Europe 2026, and it's available in YouTube. So if you're interested, I suggest you go there. So this is Mammon, and it's been working great, and accounting people are happy, and we're happy, and we've extended it for a few times now, and it just made that much easier. The other solution I picked, we codename it Flux, and this is our first kind of agentic real solution. We in DevOps team, we often get requests from business stakeholders to provision new resources, provision new teams, provision new licenses, onboard, ADO, etc., GitHub, etc. So we thought, you know what? Why don't we give them an agent where they can interact with it and do what they need to do without us having to do it for them on then created ticketing, etc. So, but obviously this is a complex logic. When you look at modern AI, oftentimes it's read-only, data sources connected, numbers crunch, some output, some decision on that. Now, this is a solution that will create and delete resources, critical resources in our infrastructure. So we really wanted to make sure that it's fully supportable, safe, testable, etc. So we came up with the design. Obviously, the initial approach could have been we simply write a bunch of MCP tooling and instructions and just hook it up all together and let it run. What would the agent do? We wouldn't have that kind of a control. So we thought maybe the better approach here is to have specialized agents. One deals with the routing, which ultimately to us means you get a human prompt, you analyze it, you validate it, you identify what it actually means. Then you can derive pre-cooked, templated, curated prompts to specialized agents for Teams, for ADO, for GitHub, for Azure, etc. So these specialized agents, then they can see these curated prompts, and it just that removes that uncertainty to a large degree and promotes predictability of what the input is and therefore what the output is. And we realized, okay, this coordination between the agents, well, we have Dapr. So this solution really at the core is a Dapr workflow which orchestrates agentic coordination. And it's great. And now we have great observability about the workflow itself, but also a lot of telemetry from agents, cost, etc. So we're very happy with that design, and this solution is being developed as we speak. And but this structure seems exactly fit the need.
That's fantastic, Oisin. We're going to have to move you along a little bit faster here because we've got a lot to cover today.
Yeah.
So
Look,
let's please zip through this a little bit here.
Yeah. So look, as a developers, we get all these built-in features, and so we don't have to deal with it ourselves. So we like that. As DevOps, I get this unified observability, be that agentic or non-agentic application. So I like that. We really love Catalyst now. And business, they get higher success rate and reduced cost. So everybody's happy. Thank you very much.
Well, fantastic to hear your story. We'd love to get you back again if you want to hear more about this on a community call that we can do in the future. But really appreciate you turning up today and talking about your workflow solution, your agentic solution, how Dapr and workflows really helped you solve really hard business problems. And it's fantastic to hear. Thank you.